So, in light of me being extremely concerned about the rhetoric of Paula Woodward, I decided to take a look at some of her older information that she's been putting out and understand a little bit more about that. So, without further ado, this is, I think, an interview that she did with John and Patsy in 2000.
Mr. and Mrs. Ramsey, let's revisit what Governor Bill Owens said on national television this morning. He said that you were hiding behind your public relations people, your attorneys, and now you were hiding behind easy journalism. He specifically said, why hadn't you talked with Peter Jennings and Tom Brokaw? Your response, Mrs. Ramsey.
As a woman, I am appalled that he said that. I consider Barbara Walters and Katie Couric.
Mr. and Mrs. Ramsey, let's revisit what Governor Bill Owens said on national television this morning. He said that you were hiding behind your public relations people, your attorneys, and now you were hiding behind easy journalism. He specifically said, why hadn't you talked with Peter Jennings and Tom Brokaw? Your response, Mrs. Ramsey.
As a woman, I am appalled that he said that. I consider Barbara Walters and Katie Couric to be one of the two most professional, experienced journalists in our country today.
Yeah, that's a remarkable comment. We specifically decided to go with Barbara Walters and Katie Couric because they are tops in their field and they're tough. And we didn't want to be criticized for not being challenged. They were open-ended interviews, no time limit, no restrictions. They demanded and got from us the right to ask us any question on camera that they chose to ask.
We're not hiding behind anyone.
You know, I at first I didn't know what Patsy meant when she said, as a woman, I am appalled. I was like, what does that have to do with being a woman? But I guess so. I didn't know who Peter Jennings and Tom Brokaw were. Apparently, they're journalists in their own right, and so I guess what Bill Owens is insinuating is that you went with women because they're easy to sort of like get on your side or manipulate and get them to believe you, and they would lean more toward your opinion and more toward your side. You can bias them more, which to be fair, I am kind of shocked at how easy Barbara Walters was to turn for the Ramseys. Like, there's no problem, and now Paula Woodward is just like in John Ramsey's pocket, very weirdly. But I they did go on Larry King, and I think they did face Steve Thomas on Larry King. But I think Larry King, in a way, was similar to Paula Woodward and Barbara Walters, because he probably wouldn't push in the same way that maybe Peter Jennings or Tom Brokaw would. I've never watched those guys, so I don't know. What I would say is take whether or not it's male or female out of it. Maybe you should, if you're making the circuit, maybe you should go on these shows, or should have gone on these shows, just to be making the circuit, you know? But one does wonder, why are you on television? I mean, I don't understand why you guys keep going on TV. You will give everybody all the time of day. You'll give every news reporter and newscaster the time of day. You'll give them complete and open reign to interview you. No problem. Yeah, absolutely. Ask us any question. Have us in there however long. and nothing's off limits. We're not going to bring our attorneys. We're not going to bring our PR firm. Why don't you offer the same deal to the police? That's been the problem for 30 years. Give us a shot to talk to you without attorneys, without attorneys, and without, your PR firm standing there and separate. Give us the same deal. The police will take that deal. If John Ramsey walks into the police station today and says, I'm ready to talk, and my attorney won't be here, he won't do it, right? Because why? Because the stakes in the police room are higher. Right here, you can say anything and walk away and get away with it. People can hotly debate as long as they want to, and you can get away with it. No problem. But if you go into a police station and give them free reign to ask you anything, and you don't have your attorney in there objecting, like you had Lynn Wood going crazy, absolutely crazy, you might be in some trouble, because it allows them to dissect any possible lie or untruth right on the spot, because they can catch you and say, well, John, you said this or this. I mean, you could still say, I reserve the right not to answer that question, and I'm going to retain an attorney. Or, you know what? I reserve the right not to answer that question till my attorney is present. You could do that if you want to still. But, it's coming to the point to where I don't even think it's about solving the investigation, right? If you won't offer this same deal, and in a time in 2000, when this interview was, in a time where the police were asking you, come in, talk to us. You had all the time in the world to talk. But instead of offering that to the police, you offer that to freaking news channels to talk about what? To sit around and talk about what? What are we getting from this? You answering questions about, I wish we would have, and none of this stuff centers around JonBenet and what you found so far in the JonBenet, like in the murder of your daughter, and what you found so far, and what you've been like. We never hear, if you go back and listen to the interviews, we never hear any substantive thing about, they hired these PR firms, these private investigators and all such as that, but you never hear anything cohesively meaningful that they've gotten together and said, we got these guys and we worked on this case and we've come up with this theory and we've collected this and this is where we think the case should go because of this, that, and the third. Other than just saying DNA, they've never come out with anything meaningful to say, so we've gotten together and we've worked on this. Imagine a company coming out with earnings reports and saying, yeah, man, all these people, and when you're there on the earnings call to hear what the company is saying about their progress over the past 3 months. And they're getting on the call talking about one of the things that got on my nerves is how dare Apple and Microsoft, come out and announce something on the same day that we're announcing it. We announced the product and we set this day specifically, and we specifically checked with their reps on whether or not they're opening a new product or a new store on this day. And they said no, and we came out and by golly, they opened the store on the same day that we were opening the store. How dare they? And somebody would have to chime in and say, we weren't asking about Microsoft or Apple when they opened. We understand them. That's fine. We're asking about what you guys have been doing for the past 3 months and your products and how that leads up to that, because we want to be able to establish, we can support Microsoft and Apple. That's fine. But we also want to support you and understand how you've established growth in your firm over the last 3 months. Can you tell us more about that? John and Patsy ain't doing that. They're talking about the police and everybody else that ain't got nothing to do with nothing in the case. They don't even come on television to talk about the case. They're just going around doing interviews, trying to defend their name. Think about that for a second. How useful is that to the case? Why are you more concerned with going around trying to defend your name rather than trying to actually help people understand what they can do to help solve this murder?
And let me say one more time, we said this the last time the governor accused us of hiding behind our attorneys and PR firm. We have no PR firm. There were no attorneys present at the Barbara Walters interview or the Katie Couric interview. There are no attorneys present here today.
And no restrictions.
And no restrictions.
Were you nervous about talking with either one of these women?
We respected them as journalists. We knew that they would be tough because the world expected them to be tough. We weren't nervous. There's no question that we could be asked that we're afraid to answer. Truth is easy.
Truth doesn't change. It's not frightening. It's not anything. It's the truth, and that's all it is.
What do you miss most about your daughter, Mrs. Ramsey?
I miss her butterfly kisses. She used to come up and give me a little brush with her eyelashes on my cheek, and her little hugs, and her spontaneity.
She was a spark plug in our life. She kept the place rocking. It's a huge vacuum in our family, all of our family.
It is said that no parent should ever lose their child. You have lost 2 children. How do you survive?
You survive first because you have other children that need you to survive.
It's not easy.
That's the first thing that you realize, is that I can feel desperately sorry for myself, but I have other children that depend on me now more than ever. We still have 3 wonderful, precious children. We have a grandchild on the way, which we're thrilled about. And you keep going because you're their parent. You have to.
And it doesn't mean that you keep going 100% all the time. There are days when I'm in bed crying my eyes out for the whole day. You know, it's kind of an up and down situation. It's not easy, but we're here with a mission to find the killer of our daughter. So yes, we will sit here as long as you'd like to sit and ask us questions. And tomorrow I may be in my bed crying myself to sleep. But I'm going to do that until we find this person.
And there will be people who watch this and say, as you say that, we want to find the killer. They'll say, well, you are the killer.
You know,
Look, we're never going to convince cynics of the truth, so we don't try to. What we're trying to do is solicit help from the public to find this creature and to beg the Colorado officials to be at least objective and open enough to listen when that tip comes through. Then we'll find this person.
What's going on with this hatred and obsession and fringe?
I don't know. What we've learned through all this, we've come out of this realizing there are a lot of good people in the world. We've had wonderful people come forward and support us from all over the world. And even though you'd think that we would come out of this being hateful and
How did he know what she was going to say? I was waiting for the question to be done, for her to finish the question. He was already shaking his head. What's the question? Can we wait until she finishes the question? I was saying that about something they were doing on stage at CrimeCon, where, and on another analysis that I was doing when Paula Patton, I guess was Paula Patton, Paula Woodward was, I guess, promoting her book or something like that. And she was talking about what's going on in the case. And when the news anchor was asking or getting ready to ask questions, they didn't even finish the question. Paula Patton was sitting up like this. Paula Woodward was sitting up like this, ready to answer the question. And it's just like, she hasn't even asked the question yet. She's not done with the question. Do you even know what question she's asking? I'm confused. And another thing that I'm looking at is John Ramsey's face. The way that it's just emotionless. It's dead. There's no life in his face, talking about how to maneuver and find the killer of his daughter. There's like no life in his face. It's completely lifeless. All you just kind of see is his mouth moving and his head moving. His face doesn't move a lot. Patsy's being a little bit more expressive. You see Patsy's face? Patsy's been a little bit more expressive. She's leaning forward. She's talking. She's involved. She's engaged. That's I don't know, man. That's a little weird to me. I don't know why yet. That's a little weird to me. I was thinking about it. And I was like, man, something's breaking my concentration about the dynamic that's going on here. It's not that they're talking over one another too much or trying to make their point too much. It almost exists in sort of this underlayer of there's a silent thing that they're trying to prove. It's like without me even asking, you're trying to tell me something and prove something to me without me even asking. So it's like I may be innocently just asking questions or conversing with you with no expectations. We just sat down to have a good conversation with people who are wanting to clear their name. And it's like there's a hidden agenda that's coming at me. And I don't know why it exists. I don't know why it's there. I have no reason to believe that there is a hidden agenda if we're just sitting down with, no issues. But it feels like there's a hidden agenda coming at me. And I feel I have to be on guard for something that you're about to say, that you're trying to maneuver me and steer me in a certain way that's just like, well, I don't know if that's true. Maybe not, So I'm on the lookout for that because I'm a little concerned at the dynamic. If I can name it, then I'll say it. But
We're not hiding.
Them to be tough. The place rocking. It's a huge vacuum in our family, all of our family.
It is said that no parent should ever lose their child. You have lost 2 children. How do you survive?
You survive first because you have other children that need you to survive.
It's not easy.
That's the first thing that you realize, is that I can feel desperately sorry for myself. But I have other children that depend on me now more than ever. We still have 3 wonderful, precious children. We have a grandchild on the way, which we're thrilled about. And you keep going because you're their parent. You have to.
And it doesn't mean that you keep going 100% all the time. Mm-hmm. There are days when I'm in bed crying my eyes out for the whole day. It's kind of an up and down situation. It's not easy, but we're here with a mission to find the killer of our daughter. So yes, we will sit here as long as you'd like to sit and ask us questions. And tomorrow...
Patsy's a problem. Patsy's the problem. So Patsy will get ahead of herself. Patsy will go out and show emotion. Patsy will be authentic as much as possible. She has a problem with being inauthentic. She has a problem with that. It's hard for her not to be authentic, is what it is. John can look you dead in your eyes, not move his face, not move a muscle, and say, and you can say, John, did you eat, what did you think about the chicken tortellini last night? And John will say, I loved it. And you're kind of confused and you're thrown off because you're like, well, I don't know. When I was watching you, it just didn't seem like you're that interested in it. He was like, I loved it. It's fantastic. Now, if you look at Patsy would be tearing it up and, oh, wow, this is really good. Be the hand motions and this and that. Oh, and I love the spices and the flavors. And Patsy will be more expressive. Obviously, people are different. They express themselves differently. But because my dad is a little bit like that. He's not very expressive in certain contexts or situations. But there are situations where my dad is very expressive, especially around people that he's familiar with. And he moves his face. Never would my dad just sit there and just be like, We have to do what we have to do. We have to we have to keep going for our children. My dad would be like, well, and he would lean back, or he'd be like, oh, well, the thing about it is, and there would be more expression because expression naturally happens on your face. When somebody asks you something that you're into, or they ask you something that you have an emotion about, your face naturally moves. It naturally just happens. It naturally just expands and widens to accommodate whatever emotion that you're feeling inside. It comes out on your face. But if you're sitting there looking and just powering through questions, and you can tell that Patsy is happy to answer and be forward about her emotions, because Patsy is saying a lot without saying a lot. Patsy is more so talking about in terms of Patsy's more so talking in terms of how it has really affected her to lose a daughter. And John is more so talking in terms of how do we protect ourselves, or how do we shield ourselves from any outside attacks, which is quite interesting, if I should say so myself. So that I think that's the most immediate thing that's jumping out to me.
Or I may be in my bed crying myself to sleep. But I'm going to do that until we find this person.
And there will be people who watch this and say, as you say that, we want to find the killer. They'll say, well, you are the killer.
Look,
And that she really got offended because it was an immediate knee-jerk reaction. But I don't understand why she got so hung up with nothing really to say. Because on one hand, she's offended. On one hand, she's offended as in, how dare you say that about me? But she can't. That's what gets me about when they ask them, some people accuse you of it, and they get offended and they do the right emotion. They show the right actions to say that, why would you think it's me? What have I done? But then they get kind of confused. It stops there. They don't say, how would I do this? How would I do that? Well, we think about this. We think about that. They don't have any like verbal proof that they can say to just rattle things off to prove that they're innocent. Just simple stuff like, how would I do that? I was in bed by 12:30. How would I do that? I was in bed by 12:30, and then this happened, and it goes like, I wouldn't even dress my daughter in that. I don't even do that. But that's not even a custom in our house. If you would have known us, you would have known that we don't do anything like that, blah, 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 and just went down the line. Matter of fact, we do this, that, and the third. But they get offended and they look, and she just smiles, and I'm like, what are you smiling at? What are you smiling at? Tell me why this is false. Tell me why this has nothing to do with you. And it's weird because you can't. It's weird because you're kind of stuck on maybe you know something that we don't know. Maybe you're locked up and caught. Maybe you want to get going, but the place that you're going to go might reveal too much. Maybe it might reveal something that we didn't know before. And then the police hear it and they come back and say, let me talk to you real quick. I just want to talk to you about this one thing that you said on Paula Woodward's show. And you got to answer and account for that. And you got to clarify. Maybe you slip up and say too much. Where Patsy is almost ready to go off script. Whereas John doesn't say anything different. For the past 5-10 years, John has said the same thing, same stories. It's nothing wrong. The truth is the truth. Yes, I get that. I will give that to you. I will hand that to you. The truth is the truth. You don't need to change the truth. But when it sounds like it's on a repeat cycle, repetitively, over and over again, to the point to where it feels like, I remember I was watching Web Sleuths maybe like a month or two ago. And I can't remember. Her name is Trisha. I think it is. I think her name is Trisha. I'm sorry if I get it wrong. But Trisha was talking about, she was recounting how she went to Crime Con, and she went to Crime Con, and she had a chance to meet John face to face, and had a chance to talk to him. And she mentioned how she got in front of him and she asked him a question, and he started going down the line on, if I'm remembering correctly, he just started going down the line, just the normal spiel that he always goes through. It's like nothing different. It's like they're on stage. And for somebody to be, yeah, Trisha Griffith, for somebody to be that on cue with certain answers. Obviously, you've been saying it for years, but it's really where there's no personal stories, there's no personal additions to add. It's John says it, and I guess what's weird about it is he says it and stops and looks at you, and you're like, we're having a conversation. Is there anything else? You know, like I might be sitting with you and I say, what do you like about this? And you say, the stew's good. Cool. Yeah, I like the stew too. I actually had the stew when I came here last time, and that was really good. But I didn't get the stew because I want to try something different. And like, yeah, it's really good. You know, definitely would eat this again. Are we not? Is this what we're doing? Because it seems like you're not putting forth any effort in the conversation to make it to connect and be honest. You're just, well, you know, one of the things that we did was, you know, this and you know, the police came to me and they said whatever, and I said no, I would never do this to my daughter. And it was a whole bunch of, say something like that. But you don't give me anything. You just stay on your mark and you just repeat, and just, that's it. That's what's weird to me. That's what's weird to me. I'm going to shut it down and I'm going to come back to you. Remember, like, share, subscribe, all of that. For those of you who are hyping it up, I appreciate you. Don't have to do that, but you're doing it. So I appreciate you. Big hugs to you. Sending out love to you. Hope you're feeling good. Hope you can rest, or hope you're being productive at any rate. So thank you once again. And until next time, take it easy.